The search resumes this morning for a car that could be the missing puzzle piece in a cold case that has haunted the Portland metro area for decades. The Martin family went missing in 1958. Their case remains unsolved, but officials and the community hope they can finally get some answers here. You're watching AM Extra on this Friday, March 7th. I'm Travis Tyke.
And I'm Emily Burris. Right now, crews are back along the Columbia River's edge this morning in the hopes of finally getting that car out of the deep waters and maybe discovering a connection to this Portland family's mysterious disappearance. Our Jeff Gianola first on scene as this news broke yesterday morning. He's been covering this cold case for decades. He joins us live once again in Cascade Locks this morning with the latest on this recovery effort and how authorities learned about this breakthrough from a local diver. It's really an incredible story, Jeff.
I'm reporting from Cascade Locks. Once again, this is day 2, the search for this important piece of evidence, a vehicle that could be, and most possibly is, the vehicle that the Martins were traveling in when they disappeared 66 years ago. Let me set the scene. Behind me, there's the incident command post down there. That's where the crane is standing by to bring that car up from the water. And investigators are arriving right now for a day 2 of this effort, and we're hoping they can bring the car up. A car right now that yesterday proved very difficult to bring up, and they called off that effort at about 4:30. I want to show you the crane that's involved in it. It was brought in on a barge around 12:30 yesterday and afternoon, a little later than they wanted it to come in. And then they set all the rigging and the effort began. Once again, it was called off at 4:30. They're going to begin once again this morning. None of this would be possible without the efforts of the man standing next to me. This is Archer Mayo, a local diver. Archer, you told me a few years ago, you were insistent that the Martin car would be found here at Cascade Locks. You searched for this car for 7 years.
Do you believe me now, Jeff?
Yeah,
yeah, I've been looking for a long time, and I've had this theory, and I wasn't sure I was ever going to be able to actually prove it. I knew once I discovered this pit that was built into the 19th century navigation locks. I actually discovered it at the Oregon Historical Society looking through photographs in their archives, and then I knew where the car was going to be. I was never sure if I was actually going to be able to find it because it's huge.
What was your feeling like as we look at the video you took while you were underwater? Where was that eureka moment when you said, I think this is the car?
Actually, I saw the car, but I didn't believe it was the actual Martin car because I had seen some other pictures that were kind of mixed into the case, and one of them had painted rims, so I thought, maybe this is the car. It's interesting that it's a car. That night in the hot tub, when I'm trying to get my temperature back up to normal, I went online and I looked up some hubcaps from 1954, and that was the one I saw, so I knew. So I found it in the hot tub. I went back the next day, measured it, and that's my eureka moment.
Okay. The effort, why it took so long, a lot of your efforts, early efforts, clearing the debris that was off of this car. Yeah. Now, you're telling me that the car is upside down at a 45-degree angle. There's a lot of debris on that undercarriage, which is the top of the car, as it said. But the car's also stuck in mud. Tell us about the amount of debris down there.
Yeah, well, the whole history of the gorge is a history of floods. And so we've had, since that car has been down there, we've had the 64 flood, the 65 flood, and then a much bigger flood in 1996. All of that is on top of the car. And 96 had a lot of rock in it. So when I was down there trying to dig for the front license plate, because I really wanted to get that definitive answer.
Identification.
Totally. I realized that I didn't have the amount of time to do it without a whole nother summer of digging. So I went to the sheriff and said, you guys take it from here, and they've been great.
Let's talk about the car. It's a 1954 Ford station wagon, and you say that car is unique. There was something else you noticed about that car since it's upside down, the wheelbase, and you said that was important in identifying this vehicle.
Yeah, this is one of those cars where the rear wheels are kind of in the car. They're kind of almost partially hidden. So when I measured the rear wheels across, I knew it should be 56 inches, which is small for a car. Most cars have a little bit bigger on the back to make them look a little more muscular. And in this car, it was the opposite. So when I measured across tire to tire and it came out to 56 inches, that was a big one. That was a big one.
Okay. Archer, I know you're going to be busy today. If we were to make our best guess on when they might be able to bring this car up to date, hopefully, what would be your best guess?
My money would be on midday, right, like between 12 and 1, just the amount of work they've been doing. They're probably starting pretty early this morning.
And when you say work, these are divers trying to suction that mud out from around the car?
Yeah, 70 years of being on the bottom, encased, things really turn to concrete, plus the weight on top. And they really are being so careful. The sheriff and all the law enforcement here are being so careful to really try to preserve all the evidence.
Because as you bring it up, you want to preserve that evidence.
Yeah, we don't want things to fall out of the car. We don't want the car to break or part of the frame to go. I mean, from what I've seen of the car, it's in excellent shape. I've seen a lot of cars in the river, and this one looks very well preserved just based on how it was buried.
Okay, I'll let you get back to it. Archer, thank you, and thank you for your efforts in finding, hopefully, this key piece of evidence in the mystery of the Martins. I'm going to send it back to you right there, because I need to get over to Incident Command. Coin 6 has been granted a permission to go into Incident Command because of the work I've done and the work our other reporters have done on this story over the years. You know, I've covered this for over 30 years, about 30 years. The disappearance of the Martin family. So hopefully we'll get that important piece of evidence today, and hopefully that'll point to some clues in this mystery, which I call the most baffling mystery, one of the most baffling mysteries in the history of Oregon. I just lost communication with you guys, but I'm going to send it back to you in the studio there, Emily and Travis, and I'll be talking throughout the day with other folks. I'll stay out here for Coin 6 News. We'll be reporting, and hopefully they'll bring that car up from the bottom of the locks today.
Yeah, we sure hope so. Thanks, Jeff. I know it's been so interesting to see this really slow and methodical and careful recovery take shape. They're working as hard as they can to keep any potential evidence inside that car.
And as you heard from Archer there, the diver who found the car, they don't want it to break either.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been sitting at the bottom of the river for almost 70 years at this point.
Currents in the car.
Absolutely, and they need to actually suction some of the mud out from around it. Jeff had a really neat analogy to describe the situation earlier, which is when you walk into some mud and you lift your foot up really fast and your foot comes out of your shoe, that's kind of the situation with the car right now. The car could get stuck, so they don't want to damage it in any way.
It'll be really interesting to see what we find later today. Of course, stay with Coin 6 News. You can join us for Coin 6 News at noon and updates throughout the day, streaming on coin.com.